Hello, this is a Jayleshark and Friends
and Russell
and Russell podcast. And on today's show, we're talking to Russell. That's right, the Russell in Jayleshark and Friends and Russell podcast. Russell tells us all about how to train dogs, why he trains dogs, and how not to get caught taking Toblerones into Australia. Gonna be a good one, this. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast, Jay.
No, I'm interviewing you today, Russell. I've decided. Hello, what's your name? Where do you come from? What got you here? Right, carry on because I need to sleep.
My name is Russell Distance Russell. I've been in Phuket 15 years, I think. Let me quickly do the math.
Has it been 15 years?
I'm just trying to do the math now. No, 14. Sorry, 14 years. June. It was 14 in June. Blimey, it's gone quick.
Yeah, it has gone
I've
quick.
known you for about 10 of those, I think.
What brought you to Phuket?
I think it was Thai Airways.
This isn't going to go well.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us here on the podcast. Now, it's a very different Jayleshark and Friends and Russell podcast. I'll do that bit while you're coughing
Thank you,
again.
yes. Yeah.
I've decided that I'm going to interview Russell today.
You've had enough of guests crashing our show.
Only because of some technical issues with recording. I just wanted a break from editing.
Yeah,
for
fair
a bit.
enough. I don't blame you.
So, but I also thought it'd be interesting because we've done a lot together, and
we should probably qualify that.
Yeah, we've made love twice, and
we did cuddle.
I was good. We've had one cuddle in front of dog owners, but no, I don't really. I thought it'd be interesting to tell your story.
My story?
Yeah.
Oh, good God.
No, I know. But I really wanted to get... I'm serious about this as well. And I was thinking about this last night.
I mean,
thinking about you.
Heads up might have been nice.
Go off on a tangent straight away.
Yeah.
I went to a wicked haunted house last night with the kids.
Excellent. Where was that?
Really good. At Blue Tree. They dressed up their Ninja Warrior thing as a haunted house.
Excellent.
It was frigging awesome. And I'm no word of a lie, right? I'm not just promoting Blue Tree because I don't have to. But it was just fantastic. So what they did was...
Like fantastic looking or fantastic quite spooky?
Everything.
Excellent.
Everything about it was awesome, right? So you go in there, they blacked it all up. That's not racistly blacked it all up, but they put sheets around it so it was all dark inside, and they put a couple of, what are they called, the black lights up.
Yeah.
And then they had spiders' webs, and they had all sorts of things you have to climb through and go through. But then the coolest thing was, all the staff were dressed up.
Excellent.
And they would jump out at you at various different points.
And
there was brilliant. They had a Jason with a chainsaw. They had body parts hanging up. They had an electric chair, and I'd worked with Martin, who's the operation guy there, and they had this electric chair, and they had like a strobe light effect with screaming and all. It was just
brilliant,
fantastic. Anyway, that's off on a tangent. So,
sticking on that particular tangent, I remember years ago when I was in the States, I think it was the second time round, so around 2012, and we went to Six Flags, which is like Disney, the roller coasters and all of that. It's a franchise throughout the US. So I went with a couple of friends, and it was for Halloween, and they had a haunted house there. So we're in never mind that. We're in the queue for the haunted house. Friend of mine, a couple of friends and bits and pieces. Long queue of people, and there was about 2 people in front of us. And the girl says, "All right, just hang on a minute. We'll get you through in the next group." Fine, no worries. And this kid comes up. He must have been, I'm guessing, 15, 16. Very polite. "Excuse me, miss." And she goes, "Oh, got to go to the back of the queue." "Yeah, no, I'm at the back. I just wanted to check. Is it really scary?" And she's like, "Well, it's a haunted house." She goes, I get that, and I don't mean to be silly. And he was really polite about it. Very cool. Very erudite for an American 15-year-old.
Sorry, erudite, isn't that a glue?
Yeah, that too.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering, I don't mind, a bit of scary stuff, but I'm just wondering sort of what level it is and whether it's too much for me or not. Part of me, and this all happened in seconds, so part of me is thinking, that's really cool of him to go and ask that, and fair play to him for doing it. The next part of me, which is the more obvious bit, was because I'm right behind him, I just went, "Boo!" really loudly out of nowhere.
And
he absolutely shat himself on the spot and went, "Oh, fucking hell."
bless him.
And the woman turned around and said, "It's a bit like that." He said, "Okay, I think we'll give it a miss," and wandered off. And of course, all of us and the people in the crowd were just pissing themselves.
Poor little kid. I took.
I did him a favour.
Oh, absolutely. I took Sahara and Ashton in it, and they loved it. They did. They were attacking people with their glow sticks, which was quite cool. So it was almost like an old nightclub where they were having it, raving.
Yeah.
But forget about that, because it's obviously this comes out on Tuesday, and that was
Halloween
last Thursday, which was Halloween.
But Halloween was just yesterday.
Yeah, and they're actually doing it. We're recording this on the Friday, so they are doing it tonight as well. But that's not going to help anyone who's listening now. So unlucky.
It was good.
But Russell, so joking aside, who are you? Where do you come from? What brought you here? Tell us your life story. Oh, I've just realised I've got my daughter's socks on.
Oh, good grief.
That's podcast gold, isn't it?
Yeah, it's podcast gold, yeah.
Russell, distance Russell.
I could have done with a heads up about this. I might have prepared something.
Well, I know.
Which is probably why you didn't say anything.
Absolutely.
Got it right.
It's completely why I don't like telling people.
So who am I? As you mentioned.
Where did you come from?
Well, how far back? My mum, really, initially. So how far back do you want to go?
Oh, no. Let's not go that far back. Let's start with...
Coming to Phuket.
Yeah, coming to Phuket. So when did you come to Phuket?
So I came to Phuket on the 5th of June 2005.
Why?
At the time, I'd been spending... crikey, how many years? I've been in security for about 7 years by that stage, private security, developing with it. And a friend of mine who was ex-military was looking at doing private security work in Iraq, which was, at that time, a bit of a buzz. Do I want to go with?
A bit of a buzz or death, either or.
It's semantics. So at the time I was like, yeah, might give that a crack. So went up, met some peeps in London. This was back end of 2004. Sort of still working with my friends.
So, sorry, you were in you was in England at the time.
I was in the South Coast. I was in Bournemouth, based in Bournemouth, but working through the South Coast. Thinking that this might be the next strategic career move, and then came out here. I think in the March, April time, just to see the folks because I was coming out once a year to see them anyway.
So your family was already in Phuket.
Yeah. Again, going back a little bit further, grew up Hong Kong, Singapore, as you know. Went to school there. And then
I know, but the podcast,
sorry,
people listening don't know.
My 5, well, they probably do, actually.
Yeah, because we have mentioned it every
It's only just a couple of friends. So went back to the UK for university, stayed there, worked there, was flying back and forth every now and again for holidays to see the folks here in Phuket. So came out 2005, around the April time, probably around Songkran. And while I was here, I was offered a job. And it was the case of...
Offered a job doing what?
Well, take a guess. It's either property, diving, or teaching. Particularly at that stage. It was one of those two things.
So I've got a guess.
Yeah. Well,
I've never seen you dive.
Okay.
I've never seen you teach. And I've never seen you sell property.
There's a reason for all of that.
The one that I could probably say that you could blag the easiest would be diving.
Right, okay. Now... Technically, you're probably true because I have dived. I do have my certifications, but
have you muff dived?
Have you muff dived? But no, it was property sales. So, which is, and I'm not sure if you know this or not, but it's a god awful, thankless fucking industry that is. Pardon my French.
Is that your phone?
I think that's me binging. Sorry, there we go. It won't bing anymore because I've turned it off. So yeah, that lasted maybe 6 months. So so that was it was Phuket or Iraq, basically. So I made the decision to...
Both very similar.
Yeah, very similar.
To be honest.
Good beaches.
Yeah. Lots of sand.
Lots of sand.
And death.
And the odd sort of Wild West gunfight. But
yeah, there you go. So you did property for 6 months?
Around that, yeah.
Okay. And then what happened? From
there, just decided... I mean, it kind of got me here. And it got me based to a degree. And then from there, decided this just isn't me. So... morphed more into the management training side of things, which is what I was doing a little bit back up in the UK as well. So, and that was going well. Sort of diversified that into the hospitality industry because my degree was hospitality. So basically going to the hotels here and saying, we can train your staff and your teams in more effective management practices and stuff like that. A lot of team building exercises, which was kind of cool.
I think that's when I first met you, was doing the team building stuff.
I remember when we first met.
Oh, hello.
It was at Catch, one of the parties at the old Catch.
Really?
Yeah, Gemma introduced us. Yeah.
Did she?
I mean, we were all completely off our trees at that particular point.
A white party or just a general party?
It might have been one of the white parties.
It must have been the white party.
Yeah. And I don't know if you just started, but you were on the radio at that stage. And I wasn't, but I was talking to Byron about being on it. And that's to do, I think that was when I started doing the rock show. And that's, Gemma's like, oh, come meet Jay because he's on the radio as well. And you're like, all right, hey, dance around, all right, see you later. I thought,
it's generally how I am with most people.
Yeah.
You get, I'm not very good being introduced to people. I have no small
I noticed
talk.
that.
Yeah, no, I'm really rubbish at it.
Oh, you had really good small talk. It was all right, and then you fucked off.
Yeah, that's generally how I am with people. When people I first meet, I feel quite guilty because I'm not rude. I just don't know what to say to people. I get awkward moments.
Fair enough.
And it's that one-on-one thing that I hate.
Yeah,
but it was doing right now.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what branched into that.
So so that's got you here. So where is the whole dog thing? Because obviously you're known for being amazing MC, being an amazing person, and dogs.
Yeah.
So how has the dog thing come in?
As in being a dog trainer and all of that.
Well, I guess so, yeah, because
business.
you've had a few different jobs, because you've worked security here as well.
Yep. To give you to continue the thread there.
Oh, yeah, I should let you carry on.
Yeah, just shut up.
All right, go ahead. I'll play with the dogs.
There we go. So, long story short then, was in management training for a few years. And then 2009 got the opportunity to go to the States to study to be a dog trainer. There's a huge school in Texas.
Okay.
Why?
Well, yeah, that's what's... So you got the opportunity to go.
Yeah.
What made you go, or what was the?
Well, what made me go is it sounded like a fantastic opportunity.
But
a
were you
fantastic
looking?
school.
Sorry,
so at the
talking
time
I'm talking over you.
No,
when
it's cool.
Yeah, because we shouldn't talk over each other.
But I'm guessing the questions.
What's that?
So yeah, I was looking for closing in on the 5-year itch. I guess you could say. I need to. It's all okay, but what's next? What else kind of is there?
But still, why dogs? Why dog training?
Always been fascinated with dogs.
Right.
Yay. Grew up with dogs. We had Great Danes when I was a kid growing up. Worked at the RSPCA when I was a kid in Hong Kong. That was an education in itself. So always had an affinity. When I was young, I wanted to be a vet. Just didn't have the upstairs for it. So
I don't think that matters anymore.
Nowadays, probably not, I guess. I don't know. So
sorry, vets.
Yeah, sorry, vets around the world. But always had an affinity with dogs, if you like. So
go on. But then all of a sudden you just say you had the opportunity. So were you looking for dog training opportunities then? Because you don't just get an email come through that says, "Hey, you want to be a dog trainer in Texas? Come."
Oh, that's the universe talking to you, or something like that.
Yeah.
I must have searched something along those lines. I going back, I can't remember if I specifically said, "Hey, I want to be a dog trainer." I wonder if it might have been searching for dog careers or blah blah blah, and something threaded through that way. I'm guessing that's how it came about. But yeah, found this school, did more research about it. There's 2 other ones in the US, and it's an on-site school, so you go there for a period of time. At the time, it was 8, 12, or 16 weeks. And learn to be a trainer. You learn about dog psychology, behavior, different methodologies, whether it's behavioral science, whether it's obedience training, search and rescue, all of that. So I went there for the full whack.
I'll stop you. I always wanted to do search and rescue. That was my one I really wanted to do with dog.
Right,
that's what I would have chosen.
Cool.
Well, then again, there was a lot of things I want to do, but search and rescue with a dog, that's what I would be really interested in.
Search and rescue is very, very cool. And when I had Kay, because she got her RH1 level, which is the entry level search and rescue certification, when I was in the States, and it was very cool because the judges were there for another event which is called Schutzhund, which is a dog sport.
Called what? Sorry,
Schutzhund.
All right,
it's German. But
so's burgers.
Yeah. But you've probably seen it. You maybe seen a clip on TV or on YouTube. It's the dogs, the German Shepherds running out and biting people on the arms and
the
stuff
tack
like that.
dogs is what we probably
you're probably targeting it as that. But in terms of the sport, it's all. I mean, yes, it's about the drive of the dog going out to bite, but there's a lot of other things in there as well. The obedience for the dog to work with you as a handler, to be sent out to go and get things and come back. There's large process to it. So, and on site they had this big event,
like Crufts.
Yeah, kind of. So. With all these people from the region coming together to have their dogs certified in this sport. And there were some very serious people. There was really, really well-trained dogs. It was great fun to watch. but my work with Kay, she was getting her entry-level certification for the sport on that day. So obviously she's not as good as all the other ones, but she was still pretty cool. But she was also the only one doing the search and rescue stuff. And everyone else wanted to come and see what this looked like. So I'm like, oh, fuck, there's a little bit of pressure here, right? Some serious high-level trainers. Oh, I'll come and see what this young upstart's doing with his dog. So, and they had a little trek, what do you call it, path, walking area, like a couple of Ks, loop on site. It was a 360-acre property. So they had.
I don't know why you're looking at me for help.
I know.
Because I'm not going to help you.
So anyway, we took Kay out there. She was with me. Sent one of our helpers, go a few 100 meters down the path, hide yourself behind a tree, and we'll send Kay out to go and find you. So helper goes off. I've got this crowd of people behind me. I think, oh, fucking hell. Here we go, Kay, don't let me down. So, yeah, unclipped her, told her to go search. She took off. The way it works, there's two ways you can do it. One is to have the dog to alert on site. So they go and find the person and alert, which would normally be a bark, and then you just follow the sound of the bark.
Or blow a whistle.
Or blow a whistle if you can get them to do that. What I did with Kay was what we call a refind. So she goes out, identifies the target, comes back to me and indicates, which for me was she would just drop to the floor in a down, and then take off and go and find it again. And I would just run and follow her, and she would just track back to me to make sure I was following and what have you. So we did that. She indicated we found the helper and came back. And everyone else was like, wow, that's amazing. How do you do that? That's so cool. And at the time, I'm thinking the same thing about what they're doing with their dogs, sort of thing. So that bit was kind of cool. So
you then come back to Phuket after doing your stint in Texas. I like Texas, by the way.
Yeah, Texas is great for lots of reasons.
Yeah.
Came back here with the view to, all right, I'll set up a dog training business here, which was going okay. It was obviously slow, like most new things are when you first start with anything. And then that was 2009. Came back May 2010. And then about a year and a half later, end of 2011, got approached by the same place in the States. Do I want to go and work there? We've got a job opening here. Are you interested? And I was just like, duh, yeah, I'm there. So, and again, making a long story short, was offered, this is what the package is, this is what the whole thing is. And I said, look, you churn out trainers a dime a dozen through your academy. So to get people to be trainers on site isn't exactly difficult. You're asking a non-US national to come all the way from Thailand to here. So you obviously want me for something else in terms of a long-term project, which is what I want. So this is my career that we're talking about. So got all of that sort of mapped out. Yep, fine, great, whatever. Fly over, get myself based there. And within, I'd say, a few weeks, realised what I was offered I wasn't getting. And the career track, it wasn't going to happen. So it was a massive, massive letdown for me at the time. And then I've invested a lot of money to get there and everything. I thought, well, I've got the experience here. I'm dealing with literally hundreds of dogs a week. It's really good, valuable experience. So stayed for, I think, 10 months. And it was just my two mentors that were my instructors. When you're there as a student, it's one thing. When you're there working there, you see all the politics. So, which is the same with anything, right? So now I'm invested and very involved in all the politics, and it was horrible. It was a really horrible place to work. The two guys that ran it, the upstairs guys, very, very smart, clued-in business people, but really shit people managers. Just didn't have a clue and couldn't see the picture however you presented it to them. So I just pulled the plug and said, the idea was to move here full-time and make a go of this, but this isn't going to work, so thanks very much. I'm out.
Okay, so that's kind of the background of the dog stuff. So let's move a lot further forward. So we won't get into too much of what you did here in Phuket between then and kind of now.
Okay.
But what I really want to know about is the whole Canine Point Academy business. Where did that... Because this is what you do.
Yeah. So that was always the idea. The idea was to come back and build the empire, as it were, and build a business just doing dog training. But again, like with anything new when you start, it's small. I didn't have hundreds of clients banging down my door, so I needed to do something else to keep me going. And then Barry approached me, oh, crikey, how many years ago was this now?
We should say, you can't just say Barry.
Barry, sorry, SGS Security.
Other securities are available because they're definitely not a sponsor right now.
That's true. So Barry Buck, who A, is a friend, but also was the GM of SGS Security, approached me with the view to say, hey, A, I need a number 2, and B, there's obviously a need and a market here for security dogs in Phuket, which there is and there still is. So the view was jump on board with them, and over time we will develop a security dog division. And as time progressed, we kind of realized collectively, through no one's fault, just the market here, it's ready for it in terms of what the product and the service is, because everyone wants guards with security dogs on site at their properties because they understand the value and the benefit of it, but nobody wants to pay for it. And equally,
that's pretty much most things in Phuket.
It is, but also the extra nugget with security here is best will in the world. The security, if you're a security guard here, it's the lowest of the low.
Yeah.
All right. If
you're a saluting person, you salute cars as they come in. You salute people
at very best.
And do you know what? I don't like that. I think it's a serious job.
Ideally, it should be. And what the worst part is, and we're all guilty of this, is that one time you do go somewhere, and I caught myself doing this. I think it was. Can I mention where it was? Yeah, fuck 'em. Outrigger. I went into the villas, and the barrier was down, and the security guard stopped me. Where are you going? I'm going to see my client. Gave them the house number. I need your ID. And if I didn't hand over the ID, as far as he was concerned, he's not letting me in.
Which is he's being told to do that.
Which is what he's been told to do, and he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
But 99 times out of 100, well, fuck off, I'm not giving you my ID, just open the gate, let me get in. And Thais, as a general, okay, I don't want the confrontation, I'll do it. And so they want the guards to do it, but not for me.
No, and that's interesting. It's not just us foreigners living here. That happens to them from everybody.
Yeah.
It's not just foreigners that do that.
The only
everybody.
people that the security guards will stop and check tend to be the workers. So if it's a worker arriving on a motorbike or a worker's truck with people, they'll stop and check.
Yeah.
Fortuna rocks up, gates open, come on in.
Yeah, for sure.
So
or a Yaris, by the way.
Or a Yaris, yeah, there you go. Other cars are available.
Absolutely.
So anyway, but when you're dealing with that level of person, to then ask them to, you need someone that's got a level or two up to be able to take on board the training to be a handler of a dog, particularly one that's trained to do things. And if they're that well qualified, they're not going to be a security guard.
No, and I guess that it's not just, I see what you're saying, but it's not just anyone can have a dog.
Yeah.
Can't they? And to have a working dog is very different from having, but even people that don't know about dogs can have any dogs they want here.
Yeah,
because you probably have. Well, I've been here where you've had big, not scary dogs. That's because they're not scary in any way, shape, or form. But you've got big, hard dogs who are difficult to either train, or their breed makes them so-called aggressive. But I'm trying not to say.
Yeah, I mean, every dog's different.
Every dog's different, but anyone can go and grab a pit bull.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter who they are, and so it's the same. I'm trying to make a point by waffling a lot. That anyone can do it, but that doesn't mean they're capable of having that kind of dog.
And also, it made us going to the hotels and trying to pitch it. It was, so what, you're just going to get the soy dogs around the hotel to walk around with your guards? Is that what you mean? No, that's not what we mean at all.
No, we're having an Alsatian.
We're having German Shepherds or Malleys properly trained as a patrol dog. That will work, and it's a dog. It's not just a dog; it's a dog and a handler. You go as a unit, and that's the service that we were offering.
Is there a difference between a German Shepherd and an Alsatian?
No,
it's the same thing. It's just a different name.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the pitch, and again over time. I mean, I did a lot of work with Kay. We did lots of one-offs for some of the hotels. Did some drug searches in the staff lockers.
I'd like to say I disagreed with your drug searches.
Yeah. It was great fun taking her to the reggae bar. Crikey, did she sleep? Anyway.
I just kept talking.
It's fucking everywhere!
We won't mention which reggae bar.
Yeah, exactly. Other reggae bars and bars are available. So it became apparent. I think I was with SGS a couple of years. And it became apparent that moving into the idea being build a facility there, and I would run the canine side of things, but it wasn't going to happen.
Okay, so you finished up, and now you're now moving forward, and your facility is being built.
Well, yeah. So this is my So coming out of SGS...
Well, I'm trying to jump ahead a little bit, but go on then, you go back.
Well, no, the point was, leaving SGS at the time I did, my business was also on the up and up. So it seemed a good time and a good fit that, I can do this on my own and be self-sufficient and allow the business to grow. And as it has done, leading into your current point, which is that, my purpose-built facility is opening hopefully end of this year.
Okay.
See, I told you a dog might bark, and that might be a good time for us to have...
Bye, Em. Thanks for that. Oh, boy, it was all round his head.
Nope. Place. Nope. Place. Nope. Place.
Russell's dog training right now. During the podcast, he's very cleverly training dogs at the same time.
Multi-talented.
Well, you are multi-talented. So your facility...
Forgot I've got treats here as well. Excellent. My facility, yes.
That's treats for the dogs, not treats for me. Although I did bring Russell treats
bring me a
today.
treat, and it was yummy.
He wanted a Mars bar, but there was no Mars bar. There wasn't even... I was surprised.
Sometimes they have them, sometimes they don't. And it also depends on which ones, I think.
Okay, there was no
It's
Mars
like
bars
Twix. Sometimes they've got Twix and sometimes they don't.
Where are we talking about?
7-Elevens in general.
I've never seen Twix in 7-Eleven.
Have you not?
Never.
You are missing out.
Well, no, I like a Twix.
So do I. So it's like it's a real find. It's like, ooh, I'm having one of them.
I've never seen one in 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
I'm still having heart palpitations. I think I'm having a heart attack. So this facility that you're in. So tell us more about the facility. Where is it? What is it? When's it going to be done? How's it going to go? What brought you to it? What made you want to do it? Where it is?
Is there any particular... What do you want me to answer?
No, just answer them all in one go so I can relax.
Right then, gotcha. So it's in Bandon, which is going from Boat Avenue to Talang on that main road, kind of halfway-ish. And it's just off that main road. So it's access-wise, it's brilliant. We are going to have a large covered training area. So we can do classes day and night. We can do classes rain or shine, doesn't matter.
And will they be? That's kind of group classes.
Yeah, so either group classes, do some one-on-one stuff as well, just depending on the dog, people, what they want. I can do a range of different classes as well, not just obedience, but we can also do some agility, do some clicker work, teaching just sort of fun trick behaviors, if you like. Also do some nose work. So like with Kay, she was trained in search and rescue, but she was also trained for narcotics detection. But the basis, the search philosophy is the same for any dog.
So you could train, let's say...
Maximus,
who is...
to be a drug dog.
Which would be great for parents who are worried about their teenage kids.
Yeah. So the difference is you need in terms of having a dog that does it for real and will go and search for narcotic, you need a dog with drive. Like Kay, I will find this because I want my ball. I don't care what's going on. I will go through walls to get my ball because that's all it is to them. With these guys, we've got a Beagle, Bangor mix, Sassy, Border Collie, Springer mix. They've got reasonable amounts of drive. So a Beagle over there might be more suited to it, and you do see a lot of Beagles working in airports and so forth.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that.
So and they're very particularly, say in the States and also in Australia, the Beagle Brigade. And they're usually, like in Australia, they use them so if you've got fruit or any sort of foodstuffs in your bag, that's what the dogs are trained to pick out. Because you're not allowed to bring it in. Fuckers stole my Toblerone. Bloody customs. Anywho.
No, what do you mean they stole your...
I had a
Toblerone
huge...
are in airports all around the whole world.
I had a huge Toblerone bar.
Right.
And we were flying from Singapore to Perth. And I had this... And a friend of mine had given me this huge Toblerone bar as a leaving present from Singapore, as you do. And I'd had a little bit of it on the flight. Get to Perth. It's in my box, in my bag. And the official comes up and says, what's that? It's like,
it's a Toblerone.
It's a Toblerone, you fucking idiot. How do you not know that?
It's a triangular-shaped chocolate bar.
Yeah, but on your form, it says, have you brought any foodstuffs into the country? I'm like, no, I don't have a steak or a box of fruit or anything. Oh, in Australia, chocolates are food. Oh, well, fucking sorry, mate. It's just, what? So I had to hand over my bar of chocolate, which you know.
Did you kick off?
No, I was too stunned to kick off, to be honest. But you just know those fuckers are munching it away.
Oh, absolutely. There was no way they weren't.
That's not getting binned.
No, because you see it on the TV. Oh, blimey, I thought I stepped on a dog, but it was my shoe. You can see them saying, we're going to put this in the incinerator. This is going to go. Yeah, they're all having a cup of tea and sitting there munching away. Cheeky
fucking
bastards.
Aussies. Yeah. So where did that come from?
That comes sniffer dogs. And
Sniffer
beagles.
dogs, there we go.
But so let's talk. So So when's your facility going to be ready? Because I want to get into more personal stuff in a minute.
We should be operational hopefully by Christmas. To do like a soft opening, test everything out, and then the grand opening will probably be end of January next year.
Okay. I want to get to beagles. Beagles chase foxes. Could you
Excuse me.
stop? Why do you always cough on the podcast?
I don't know, to be honest.
Beagles chase foxes. Mm-hmm. What's your stand on fox hunting?
I've got to be honest, I'm against it.
In what? Why are you against it?
I just find it one of these elitist. I mean, there's a difference with I've got a few dogs and I've got a large open. I mean, we're talking about being in the UK.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm on an estate, or I've got a large garden which backs onto a forest, and my two dogs were out and they ran down a fox and killed it. That's one thing. It's a different thing when you've got a fox in captivity, you release it, and you've got 300 beagles trained to hunt, and you've got guys all dressed up, all prim and proper. They want to be rah, rah, rah on their horseback, leading the hunt.
Fair enough.
That's very, very different.
Girls look cute in joppers, though.
They do. So, but, nah, I mean, fox hunting for me, it's just, there's no point.
Okay. So tell us more about you and what you'd like to do. Tell us you, Russell.
Tell us me.
What do you do in your spare time? What do you do in your free time?
I don't have any at the minute.
So at the moment you're training dogs at your
I have
your
a day
house.
off I do, yeah.
You was telling me about your day off on Monday. Tell
Yeah,
us about your day off on Monday.
Well, you just made the other point. I work from home at the moment, hence the need for this facility. So it's pretty much 24/7. So, and on Monday, it's just myself, Sassy, and Captain. And the last time I had just myself and Captain in the house was 2nd of April.
Wow. So you've been a busy boy.
So we've
And,
been
and,
busy.
your dogs are coming from all sorts of different people, different backgrounds, and
Yeah, I would say 85% from the expat Farang market, if you like. And the 15%, would be the local sort of Thai market.
and what do you generally do? What are they brought here to do? So if I obviously,
Mostly obedience.
so it's obedience training.
Yeah. So, I mean, certainly for the initial part, just I need more control of my dog. She's chasing the kids. He's jumping on people. He pulls on the leash, won't sit still, the usual sort of things.
But you've always told me that it's the parent's responsibility as well. It's not just a dog. I mean, obviously you're behaviourising. Is that the word?
No, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, you're behaviourising the dogs to
Okay.
get used to being trained.
Yes.
But then how does it work when they go back?
Sure. So, and the handover is perhaps the critical part. So there's a number of ways to do it. One is you bring Maximus to me once a week. We work together. You go home. You practice with the dog. You come back the next week. We do something else. So, and that can be either just one-on-one, or there could be a group of us, and that's how group classes and one-on-ones work. The other option is, which is what we do a lot of, is the residential programs, like these two here.
He's pointing at dogs, by the way.
I'm pointing at dogs that are asleep on the floor. That's what they're here for. So,
To sleep on the floor.
yeah. Well, Brandy's asleep on the floor. Okay, well, Milo's asleep on his place bed.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah, bless
But they're
him.
not here just to sleep, though, are they?
They're not here just to sleep. They are here to train and to learn and to work. So, but to answer your question, you're absolutely right. If the dog just comes here, the day they leave here, they're golden. If you just take the dog back home and just expect it to do what you now want it to do and don't do any work with it and just continue as you normally do, it's liable, very highly likely to all fall apart. So, and I explained this at the very beginning, and also I spend a couple of hours with the clients when they take the dog home. An hour is usually just us chatting, and then I go and get the dog out. So, and just explain to them that this is how you work with the dog. And this is how a play stay works. This is how you get your dog to sit. This is how you do things. This is what happens if the dog doesn't do it. And you would work with Maximus with me for a couple of hours. So he's already understanding, well, when this guy says sit, I sit, because this is what I have to do. What about when you say it? Oh, it's the same thing, is it? All right, fine, I get it. And then with the dogs that come here, we usually do a couple of sessions a day or two after the dog's gone home, and then the following week as well, just to make sure that you still know what you're doing and the dog's still doing it.
So what would be the ideal situation? So let's say I just get a dog, and I would go to a rescue shelter and get a dog, just to please the people that hate me because I had a boxer dog. I get the dog. What's the ideal situation then? So I'm in. So let's take my situation as so 2 kids, live in an apartment, ground floor apartment, get a dog. What should I do?
Don't get a dog would be my first port of call.
Okay,
Yeah, no.
End of conversation. Thank you much. Canine Point Academy.
Yeah. Well, actually, inside tip for you in terms of it's not about the. I understand the why, and I'm going to sideswipe the should we go for shelter dogs or breed dogs. I'm not going to sit on. I understand the why for both of those,
Yeah,
so we'll shelve that. In terms of the when, can be more of an important thing because a lot of people would think, all right, the kid wants a dog, which is a usual driver. That it's the kid that wants the dog. Fine. As a parent, understand the kid might want it, but you're the one that's going to be doing the work.
Yeah, I can tell that with fish as well.
The only exception to that was the little girl that we were talking about earlier. I won't mention her name for the sake of the podcast, but she was excellent in terms of looking after and working with the dog. So if you've got a child that's awesome, and I know everyone thinks their kid is awesome, but I can tell you they're not. Even so, it's you as a parent that's going to look after the dog. In terms of the when, logically, in our logic, the best time to get a dog would be perhaps when? Start the holidays. We've got lots of time. Us as parents will be here with the kids. There'll be someone here to look after the dog. We can work with the dog. That would be the best time to do it. No, absolutely the worst time to do it.
Christmas is another good time.
Christmas is any holiday.
You put them in a box under a tree, and then they open, and the kids are really happy, and then they can go off and play with the box, and the poor little doggy doesn't.
Yeah. Any holiday, worst time to do it. What you want is at the end of the holidays, then get the dog. Because from day one, the dog needs to conform to your routine, which is I got to go to work, mum's got to go and do her bits and pieces, take the kids to school, maybe she's got to work, people are out and about, things are happening, things are busy. I don't want the dog jumping up, I've got my school uniform on or my suit, whatever. So from day one, this is the normal. And that's what dogs are masters of routine. Get a dog beginning of the holidays or halfway through. It's all fun and games and parties and running on the beach and jumping up. Yay! And then overnight, bang, everything changes.
I never thought about that. That's a real interesting...
And most people wouldn't because it would make sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
We've got time to spend with them. Let's do it that way. And then people say, well, it's just how much harder during term time. Well, if it's harder and it's hard enough for you to think, I'm not sure we want to do this, don't do it.
And then what age should we be getting a dog? Not the family age, but dog age.
The age of the dog?
Yeah.
So, so this kind of harks onto the breed versus rescue. I would always urge to go for a puppy or a super young dog because it's a sponge.
How super young?
Well, I mean, the earliest you want to take a dog from its mum will be 10 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks. So anytime after that.
But then we won't get into the whole breed versus stray thing. I'm with that. But if you could, then that from an ideal point of view, a puppy, because then, as you said, they are sponges. They can learn straight away.
They've learned nothing. They've not learned the bad behaviours.
How to suck a nipple.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with taking a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old dog, be it a breed, be it from a rescue or what have you. There's nothing wrong with that. All you might be battling against is behaviours that the dog has learned over that period of time.
Because there's the old phrase, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Which is
how
wrong.
True is that?
It's wrong, but it's put us into human terms. How many languages do you speak fluently?
14.
Yeah, 2. English and bad English, right? So,
even
as touch and go.
I'd just say bad English.
Yeah. So, but no, I'm not a parent, but my understanding from parents and also from multilingual people, if you learn multiple languages as a baby, as a young child, it's easy.
Yeah,
right?
no.
If parents are speaking number of languages to the child, they just suck it up and it's just there.
No, that's very true. I mean, my daughter Zahara speaks 2 fluent languages, and Ashton's starting to speak 2 now as well.
Excellent. So, whereas if you and I mean, we've been there long enough, we should be fluent in Thai, but we're nowhere near
We've done a podcast about this. Let's not touch it.
Exactly, yeah. So, but it's the same for dogs. So, if the dog is older and it's just learnt particular behaviours because I do this, in terms of, it's not that you can't teach them new stuff. Of course you can. But the default position is always liable to be this.
Yeah.
So it's just being even more super consistent with driving them back the other way.
Okay, so let's say we've got a dog. We've got the dog in. Should we bring it to you straight away? What's the whole? What would you recommend? And I'm trying to sell you here. So obviously you want them to come and see you.
So my first port of call for anyone, well, even before you get the dog, is give me a call. Let's have a quick chat. For simple things like not doing it at the beginning of the holidays, most people say, oh wow, I hadn't thought of that. And there's lots of other little things as well that you might need to think about. So I've got a client that's pregnant, and they've just got a dog. So like, well, has a dog been around babies? Has a dog been around a pushchair? Don't know. Well, now's the time to get the dog used to all of that before it arrives, because otherwise it's a shock for everyone, including the dog, and you want that to be as limited as possible. So, for that I don't charge to have a quick chat with people about just, their situation now and what they're thinking about. In terms of, we've got the dog, and again, this is taking aside doing evaluations of breeders and puppies and all of that. That's a separate podcast. The sooner I can kind of get hands on with the dog.
Sorry, I just made a completely stupid little joke.
The sooner the better. So, and it doesn't matter if it's, we've just rescued a 6-year-old dog from the pound. Fine, let's have a look at him and see what he's like. I've just got a brand new puppy.
Or you could buy one for Thai baht as well, not just a pound. How long would you say, right, okay, so what I'm trying to get is, so I get my dog, do I come and bring it to you? Do you keep it for a little while, or do I just come back and forth?
That's entirely up to you.
So it's up to how I feel?
It's your dog, it's entirely up to you. So I generally say, look, come and have an evaluation. So at least, obviously, I can meet the dog, and I can, from there, I can give you a lot of information about, okay, you've just got a puppy, or you've got an older dog, this is what you're going to see, this is what's happening, this is why the dog is doing what it's doing. It's not because it's guilty. It's not because it hates you. It's not because it's being spiteful. And I can explain all of these things. And if you're happy with all of that, off you pop. No drama.
Have you ever had a dog that you've really, really struggled with?
Yeah. Yeah. To be fair, I mean, this guy, he's lovely. So
let's just explain, because let's be honest. So what is?
Is a Bengal mix.
What's a Bengal?
Thai, classically is known as a Thai fighting dog.
Right.
So bred to scrap. So, he's lovely in terms of temperament, which is actually quite unusual for the breed. They tend to be a bit. I mean, he is quite aloof, but they tend to be very bonded to an individual and completely dismissive of everyone else. They're usually very dominant, very confident and self-assured dog, usually, and can also be very reactive to pressure. I.e. snappy.
Yeah, no, I've been here a couple of times when Steve... Is it Steve? Brandy. When Brandy's been here, and I have not felt any of that.
No, and with him you don't. So he's very cool, very affable, very easy to...
And he's actually a very cute looking...
Oh, he's lovely.
He's a lovely looking dog. And I have to say, I've been very much... I respect your work, so when I come to your studio dog training facility, I never touch the dogs unless... apart from Sassy and Captain, who I know very well, but I would never touch any of the dogs unless you let me. But this one, I'm fascinated because he is cute as you like.
And he's got that look.
He has got a really beautiful look.
So, but no, I mean, I've had some dogs come here, and again, this is not breed specific. I've had beagles here that have been just super easy.
I'll send them to Beagle Lady.
Yeah. So, and this is another thing. People are beagle. You can't teach a beagle to come back. And English bulldogs, they're great dogs, but they're just super stubborn. Frenchies as well, lovely dogs, but super stubborn. So before you've got the dog...
You have that mentality.
You've got that mentality.
Yeah.
So you try a little bit, it obviously doesn't work, so you give up because, it's the dog.
Because you've already got your excuses lined up.
Correct, yeah. So I've had some that have been super easy and fun, others that I just can't wait to get rid of, but that's the nature of...
So what will you do with old Brandy King?
So for him, his main issue is that he was super, super jumpy. Anyone comes in, he's jumping up, sort of bouncing off them. Hello, how you doing?
Just excited because
super excited.
So basically, Maximus is very similar like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just because he's excited to see you, and it's not some people would say it's not a bad thing because they think, it's great that the dog loves me. I want that appreciation.
Yes.
As a manic, depressed, suicidal guy, I love Maximus jumping up at me because it feels like I've got someone who actually loves me in my life.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a difficult thing because humans want that sometimes.
Yeah, and the bigger difficulty is, one of the first things my mentors said to me was, if you're not just a dog trainer, you're a marriage counsellor, you're a guidance counsellor, you're a parent, the list kind of goes on. So what I often find is the dad, I don't care if the dog jumps up at me, I love it, we can rough and tumble. The mum's the opposite, or vice versa. Yeah. There's always a difference. And that's really difficult. So, because the dog, how come it's with you? It can be done. If you're that consistently inconsistent, the dog can work it out.
Yeah.
But it's difficult. So what I always say is, I understand I love it when my dog jumps and gives me a cuddle. Fine, let's teach him about choices. So when you first come home, if I run to you at 1,000 miles an hour and I skid to a halt and sit, that brings you to me. That gets the attention. And the second thing, when you then say, okay, Maximus, jump, then I get to jump up in your arms. So it's done on, he's looking to you for a cue. Because even as manically depressed and moody and pissed off as you are, that one day when you come home,
it's very true.
You don't want Maximus jumping up for whatever reason. I've got Zahara in my arms and she's super tired and she's cranky or what have you.
Yeah.
I don't want him jumping up right now.
And
if he's learned this is just what we do, he's going to do it regardless.
Yeah, and I'll make a point. He doesn't do that anymore because I have worked with him enough.
Yeah.
Now I've made him sit and he will wait until I give him the sign to jump up. And as soon as I give him that sign, we then have rough and tumble.
And that's totally fine.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I learnt that from you, from Canine Point Academy.
It's almost like I know what I'm talking about.
A little bit. So are you excited about the next kind of, because we're getting on a bit and we've both got things to do. Are you excited about where's this going to go? I mean, is it, because obviously now you're making a commitment for Phuket.
So we're the flag kind of been planted so that we're committed for the longer term. So yes, excited, yes, nervous, just depends on the time of day. But yeah, it's something I've been driving to for a couple of years, so it's nice to see it getting off the ground. The roof should be done fairly shortly, so it'll look like a building, and I think then it'll start to become a bit more real. At the moment, it just looks like a construction site. So once that starts to look a bit more like buildings and structure, then I think, and obviously time gets closer to opening, it'll get more exciting.
Is it just going to be the one training facility, or what's your plan with it? What's your goal with the whole kind of Canine Point Academy?
So, allowing for a bit of fluidity, because you never know what the future is going to hold. The current plan is to get the current facility up and running as a training and resort building, to get that done. Hopefully the business will grow and we can maybe add another wing to the resorts. We can have more dogs staying there. A wing.
Like a palace.
Like a palace, yes, absolutely. But slightly longer term, the view is to launch an actual academy, so to train people to be trainers. The whole reason I went to the States was obviously to do that, but I went to the States because there's nothing like it in the Australasia region. If you want online courses, they're a dime a dozen. $10, $20, get your certificate online, happy days. Excuse me. But in terms of actual physical, real, hands-on work with the dog, which I kind of feel you need to do this, that's, for me, was the most important part. And that's why I went to that particular school.
Cool, man.
So, yes, that's the plan.
Canine Point Academy, going to take over the world.
Or at least the dog's world.
Yeah, very true. What's on your bucket list?
My bucket, So when we sat down and he said, I'm going to interview you today on the spot, which I had no idea about. I've been going through, I need to think of my bucket list.
This was your question that you told me to ask everybody.
But you didn't say I was going to have to answer it.
And we didn't ask this to the girls last week about the bucket list, but that chat was totally awesome.
I was thinking, listening back to the pod, we forgot.
But I don't think we needed to forget stuff. We forgot to do a photo. We forgot to ask them about their bucket list. What's on your bucket list apart from starting a podcast with your mate?
Well, apart from that, and that's a big check. That's about it. Bucket list things. I would like to do some cage diving with the great whites, a bit like Lyndon. And so we were chatting about it the other day.
Episode 6, I believe, with Lyndon.
There you go. Check you out. Going back the hundreds of podcasts that we've done. I can filter back too. Sporting ones, because I'm a bit of a sport nut. I would like to go to Roland Garros for the French Open.
We haven't even touched on your crazy sport.
I love sport.
No, you do. You love all sports.
Yeah, so I'd like to go to Roland Garros for the French Open. I just think that would be kind of cool to see the tennis on the clay. I would love to go to a big event like the Rugby World Cup, the finals tomorrow. I'd love to go to something like that.
No, the final isn't tomorrow. Well, it is as we're recording this.
Yeah,
But well done, England. Or well done, South Africa.
Hopefully the former. I'd love to go to something like that, or even the Lions tour. So that would be on there. In terms of travelling, this probably sounds a bit sort of twee, but I've done a lot of travelling. So there's no specific place I'm like, I've got to go there and do this.
See, on mine,
I'd like to go to Canada and do some Canadian land and do some hiking there.
With Celine Dion and Bryan Adams, bless them.
Saw Bryan Adams live in concert in Singapore. He is really short.
Is he?
Yeah, he's tiny. He's like 4'8" or something.
Can't be 4'8".
No, he's
That's
probably-
an Oompa Loompa size.
Don't be racist. So, but we went to see him in concert, which was brilliant. And then went to Zook's nightclub, which is sadly now closed down. And he was in there, and he was being relatively affable with some of the fans, and sort of shaking hands and saying, "Oh, it's great!" Wah! And then he fucked off into the VIP room. But he was with this bird. You know how memories kind of alter over time, obviously. But the picture I have in my mind now is basically this Oompa Loompa with this 9-foot-tall Amazonian woman. It was probably a little bit closer, but she was definitely...
I have to say, that's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
Would you not want to go? Because one of the things, and I know I don't talk about... I mean, I lost my sporting love just because of the tribalistic stuff, which I think I've talked about before. But would you not... I always wanted to go...
That's more specific to football, though, right? So
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you not want to go and see one of the big rival games? I always wanted to go and see the Boca Juniors River Plate in South America. I'd always want to see like the Real Madrid Barcelona in Barcelona or in Madrid, or Galatasaray versus Fenerbahce in Turkey. I'd like to see one of these big, just to get that atmosphere, but one of the big clashes.
Yeah, no, good shout. The short answer is no.
Because you're a Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
But Liverpool Man U anymore doesn't... I don't think it really has the same... For me, I would say, like I said...
this is your tribalism sort of thing comes into it. For me, it's... In that, what you're mentioning there is about the size of those clubs.
Yeah.
And the size of those clubs is relevant to the size and comparisons of those leagues.
But also...
Out in the Spanish league, there's Barca, there's Real... You can argue Atletico, but
I just think
else.
that is a major sporting...
Correct,
that the whole atmosphere around it just seems... Listen, I've been to some big games in England.
But it happens twice a year.
No, I know it does, but
I'd rather go to the Ryder Cup, actually.
Really?
The Ryder Cup would be something I'd love to go to. I'm not a big... I'm a sport nut.
The only thing I can think of is Nick Faldo. That's from... That shows my love of sport.
A little bit out of the touch, yeah. So, I don't play golf. If I could take my dogs for a walk on the course, I would take it up. I don't watch a lot of golf. If it's the majors, I might watch some of it. But I'm not glued to it by any stretch. But I'm glued to the Ryder Cup.
Is there any sport you don't like? Snooker. Snooker's rubbish.
I like snooker.
Darts?
So darts...
Is that a sport?
Yeah, that's a tricky... I mean, what they've done with darts is amazing.
Well, they've made it like WWF, which I do... I appreciate that part of it.
Yeah, they've made it into a real big... Oh, he's showing his toy, bless him. And he's... Yeah. That's probably not where I would have sat with it, buddy, but knock yourself out. So
he's talking about Brandy, not me. But
the dog is playing with his toy. Darts is that a sport? Probably not. It's not something I would follow. But snooker I enjoy. Obviously football, rugby, tennis, a little bit of golf, the majors. Obviously, like I said, the Ryder Cup. That I would go to.
Lacrosse?
Never really sort of followed it, watched it. Aussie rules, there you go. That's the sport I've got zero interest in.
That's just fighting.
It's just... Yeah,
it's kicking a ball just so you can have a fight.
Yeah, it's not even a ball. It's just stupid.
Yeah. Well, on that note, Russell, thank you very much. How do people get hold of you if they've got dogs?
If they've got dogs, they can check out my website, caninepointacademy.com, or they can search Canine Point Academy on Facebook or on Instagram, and all my contact details and emails, etc., are readily available there.
Russell, thank you.
No, thank you, Jay, for giving me plenty heads up to prepare for this interview. And without it, I would have struggled.
In a minute, we're going to talk about how this podcast went, and so should we just go straight into that?
Exactly about that. How do we do the pre-cut?
Well, I do bring it. Hold on, because there's going to be a bit of music now. And how did that podcast go?
Well, hey Jay, sir, how was that? It was different. I found.
Yeah, very different.
It seemed to go on.
It was difficult.
How long have we been chatting, generally?
Well, with the breaks that we've had, it's been about 50 minutes, I think.
Wow.
The guest was quite difficult, I felt.
Yeah.
I didn't really get a lot out of him. And if you
felt
didn't
like getting blood from stone.
If you're a cat person, that podcast was
This is not the podcast for you.
It was terrible. And this is a bit where we promote the person, so that was Canine Point Academy. What you do with your hand thing?
The title for the podcast, Not for Cats.
Not for pussy. It's probably a better one.
Not for cat lovers.
Have we got anyone lined up for next week?
I was going to ask you the same question.
Yeah.
I think no was the short answer. There's a couple of people in mind.
Well, don't worry about it. I don't think anyone listens to this last, but anyway, they're probably bored by now listening to you talk about dogs.
Fair enough.
So we'll get out of here. But
you mentioned about the bucket list segment.
Yes.
How about we do an Ask the Dog Trainer segment? So if someone's got just a random question about the dog,
Are we having this conversation on the podcast now?
We are,
Or
yeah.
is this an off the podcast
No,
conversation?
this is a podcast conversation because it's my pod today.
Oh, today it is.
So, but we could add a little Dog Trainer's Corner segment as a...
What, during the normal podcast?
Well, that, but also if somebody wants to the billions of listeners, they say, I've got a question. They could email us at...
From now, if
They
you
can
have
email
got-
us at...
Okay, email us
at
Jayleshark@gmail.com, Jayleshark@gmail.com, Jayleshark@gmail.com.
or
If you-
jaylesharkandfriends@gmail.com.
Yeah, we got that one as well. If you have a dog question for Russell, we'll do an Ask the Dog point at the end of each podcast.
Yeah. Get the guests to do that as well.
So this podcast is now sponsored by Canine Point Academy, I guess.
Pretty much.
Yeah, fair enough. That and chocolate and Coke and Pepsi.
So have you got people lined up for next week?
Nah, I don't know. I'll think about it.
We'll just wing it, shall we?
Wing it like this podcast.
Right. Well,
Let's
good
go.
luck England tomorrow.
Yeah, well done.
I'm
England
very
tomorrow.
excited. I'm very excited.
Right, let's get
We'll
out of
discuss this next week.
We're done. Thank you,
Cheers.
Russell.
Woof.
Bye.
Woof.
Oh, woof, yeah. Funny. Oh, that was the chow thing. Yeah, chow, woof. Bye.